Hey, babe. Welcome back to Revitalized Womanhood.
Thank you.
Getting used to being my co-host here. Maybe we should just make this the Rick and Gina show.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels so weird to not have my headphones on.
It does to me too. I don't like it.
It feels way weird.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I wonder if anybody ever even watches these YouTubes, because I don't know if you all know that you can go to YouTube and watch this episode, and it's probably funny. It's probably more entertaining than just listening to it. We've been run ragged today. We had our son's football game in Mesquite, which is a town like 30 miles away, and it was like 30-mile-an-hour winds. And
yeah, I've been up since 3.
Yeah,
I leave at 4 a.m. tomorrow to go hunt again.
Yeah, for 10 days.
For 10 days with my buddies, with the Iron Council dudes, and so I can't wait. And so I got up early and was packing, and so it's been a long day.
I have to move my chair in. It's going to be loud.
Oh, yeah, well, the chair wasn't loud.
That's true. It was just me.
Jeez.
So anyway, I got in the shower. I asked Rick to do this episode with me because I've been doing one-on-one coaching this last week and a half with the women in the sisterhood, in the Revitalized Sisterhood with me, and kind of trying to really get down to peeling that onion and finding out the nitty-gritty of what these women expect from their goals, and maybe things that they don't even see for themselves and I can see for them. You know, that kind of when you don't see something for yourself, or
point it out to them.
Yeah, point it out to them because they might not see it. And a lot of them had very similar in the finance core category, in the biz category.
Well, yeah, you look at finances, that's the number one reason people get divorced, so I've been telling you for the last couple months, and I know you're getting to it, but, I think finances are a huge, if not the biggest, factor in a good relationship or marriage.
Yeah.
So that's where I was saying, I think we should do this. And again, I'm not an expert, but I'm going to, I want to go into our story. I think this will probably be 2 parts. I don't know, how long this will take. But I want to tell our story because, one, I think it gives us some credibility. Been there, done that. We're not just,
making it up.
And 2, it lets you know it's possible. Our story was very much peaks and valleys. And then, 3, it will hopefully give you a roadmap on how they can do it for themselves. So that's why I wanted to come on and I know you explained our story a little bit. We've brushed on it last time, but I want to get the first part. I want to get a little bit more in detail on our story because I did handle all the finances. And then on the second part, I always tell you, I listen to some podcasts, but the books and stuff that I really enjoy are the ones who tell me how to do it. When you say, get rich or lose weight or travel the world, it's like, how do I lose weight? How do I get financially secure? I have a lot of buddies who are successful and have some money in the bank, and they've been talking to me, and they don't even know what to do with it. So they don't even know how to start. And that was me. I didn't know where to go. And had to kind of figure it out myself. And so if I can explain, there's a million ways to make money out there, billions of ways. And this is, I want to tell our story and how we did it, through real estate and businesses. That's how we made the majority of our money. And hopefully that will help somebody that maybe is out there either in real estate or in business or wants to do something, has some cash in the bank, and this will give them some ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you definitely were the one in charge of our finances.
Yeah.
It's been hard. It's been a long road. It's not a quick fix. It's not a diet pill. It's not a magic pill that you take and all of a sudden you have control over your budget and you have control over your spending. It's lifestyle changes. You have to become mentally aware of your situation. You have to be so intentional about what you're doing, and you have to get in the right mindset of not caring what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. I think that everybody has the hardest time just getting out of their own way with keeping up with the Joneses. And even if you don't think you're the type of people that are keeping up with the Joneses per se, you might still be.
Just take a second look and just make sure, just
just be
double
intentional.
check, and like you said, you pointed on, I was in charge of the finances. We both sat down and discussed who was better with money, and bless your heart, honestly, you agreed. And I think that's a huge deal. A lot of relationships don't have that.
Yeah.
And so I encourage anybody out there to really sit down, see which one of you is better with money, better at budgeting, better at self-control, better at, writing the goals down and then setting that path. And if it's her or him, it doesn't matter.
But also, don't make it be someone's job completely. That is a hard job to have. I mean, I hear you saying that obviously I wouldn't have been the best at it and you were, but at the same time, it's your responsibility too. It's my responsibility too.
Well, you did your part. I mean, it wasn't, I didn't do everything. I just kind of took the reins and said, this is what I think we should do. And then you followed it to a T.
Yeah.
And so I'll get into that more. So basically, the first, episode, I don't know if this will be 2 episodes or what. We're just going to kind of run through it and see what kind of time we go through here. But the first episode is going to be our story, some little tidbits and pointers along the way. And then the second one is kind of, like a book list. I have books that changed my absolute life. And then, some points, some key points that I think are important, So you good with that?
Take it away.
I'll probably talk a little bit here, but
giddy up.
Yeah. So basically, like I said, our story started. I'm not going to go too far back. We started at your service. I started at your service when I was 25, and I want to be specific here. I want to be specific, and I know you cringe at that, but I want to be open and specific. So I started at your service. When I first started out, I got a loan. I think it was $15,000, bought some equipment and stuff like that, and didn't really know what I was doing. But like I said on the last podcast, I looked at it as tuition. So I started running that company, and got it to about 10 employees, I believe, maybe 8. And I was taking home about $10,000 a month in income. You were working at the time at the bank or whatever, right? Yeah. I think back then. And we was not married quite yet.
Yeah, we were just barely dating.
Yeah.
Just barely started dating.
So I was doing that, and then had this opportunity to start a wood mill with a partner of mine, 50-50. And I thought there was more opportunity to scale that. So I sold off at your service to friends and people what I could, and started United Wood Products in 2006. And you were there for that ride.
That's
when
married.
You jumped in.
Yep.
And so there's going to be bits and pieces of this that you can pull out of this. But there's going to be a lot of information here. So we started at, am I loud?
Rick has a volume control problem. He gets really loud when he gets very intentional. Stop.
Anyway, so basically, started United Wood Products, and we took out a massive loan, about $600,000 to start this company. And it was in 2006, things were booming. We started it in Mexico, importing stuff. And we got to a few hundred employees down there, and was killing it. You know that. We came right out of the gates, landed some big clients, and got to $300,000 or $400,000 a month in sales, which at the time was huge to us. Got a warehouse, and that's where we started making our first mistakes. We went and remodeled the showroom, and spent tons of money. We got a sign on the building that was $6,000.
The sign. Where is the sign? Oh, it's on the building.
Yeah, we used it, reused it. Somebody stole part of it. They stole the globe. But $5,000 sign that sit in the back of the shop for 5 years after that. But anyway, so I encourage people who are starting a business to be lean and mean. That was one thing that we came out. We thought we were hot shots. We were 26. We got a lot of business right out of the gate, and we just were spending money faster than we could.
We had at the time a brand new Dodge.
Yeah.
I
bought a $50,000 Dodge off the lot. First and only time I've ever bought a brand new vehicle, which is not smart.
Rigid chopper.
Put $10,000 into the Dodge.
Oh, yes.
The day I bought it. Lifted it, all the extras and whatever. Had a $30,000 motorcycle, a $15,000, $12,000 four-wheeler, a Jeep.
My Chrysler
300. Bought a house. We were going to Alaska. We were just killing it. But that's the problem is, so we started this company and everything was going great, and the market tanked, right?
Yeah.
So we hit a recession, and it was just, one of our clients had 120 employees, and they went down to 12. So that shows you the magnitude of what that recession was. And all of our stuff was financed, business and personal. So when the faucet turned off, there was nothing to fill up the cup, and it just was a domino effect. And so hardest few years of my life. So 2008 to 2011 was that moment of, my Dodge getting repossessed. I drove it to the repossession lot, handed them the keys. They were surprised that I did that. Went back home, got my chopper, drove it over there and handed him the keys. And he says, "What are you doing?" And I says, "Well, the bank told me they're repossessing these, and here you go." And he's like, "Man, usually we have to track you down," which actually ended up working really good in my favor down the road.
Yeah.
I'll get to that. But basically lost everything. I mean, every asset we had, we were pawning. I was pawning TVs and guns that weren't sentimental to feed my family. It got really dark. And
and hang on too, is I brought up that I didn't know. I wasn't aware. Were you aware? I don't know if you were aware how would we be aware? But when they repossess your vehicles, they take them. Oh, you're going to.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll get to all that.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, they took all of our vehicles. I was able to keep a company. My brother gave us a company shop truck. We lost our credit. I couldn't even buy a vehicle. He gave us a shop truck that we were able to take over the payments. My Dodge payment was $712. My chopper payment was $313. My four-wheeler payment was $112. Everything was financed. Our interest-only house payment was $1,680. You look back and it's like, what are you doing? But again, you're young and that's the way it went. So, lost everything, was able to stay in the house. We short sold the house. We didn't foreclose on that. We were able to short sell it, stayed in there for another year before they came and took it. And then we were fortunate enough to where we were able to, you were 7 months pregnant.
Yes. Yeah. 6 or 7, something like that.
With our first child, Castle. So, just a dark time. I remember going in my room for those couple of years.
His office. He had this little office.
And, playing Call of Duty and drinking beer and just trying to, hide from the world because I could not see a way out of this. And there was nothing to do. I'd come into work and there was nothing to do. So anyway, basically we lost everything, moved into the basement of my grandparents' house and we're starting over. And so I would have actually probably declared bankruptcy because we were $640,000 in debt on the business at the time. Had a couple $100,000 in inventory, but our sales went from $1.2 million the first 6 months we were in business to the next year was $200,000, $212,000. So it would have taken a year to sell that product. So basically just couldn't get away from that debt because that loan was guaranteed by my dad's farm, and I had to keep that going. So I didn't take a paycheck for 18 months. Kept working, kept trying to grind it out, and just very, very difficult time.
I was a dispatcher at this time. I
Yeah.
became an emergency dispatcher before this. We hadn't been in the process. We hadn't been getting our stuff repossessed yet. So I'd been an emergency dispatcher. So we were basically living on that salary, which was not much because they were in a freezing or a spending freeze, whatever it's called. They couldn't give, like normally with
raise
city
freeze.
and dispatch. Yeah. The raise freeze. I think it was like $14 an hour, wasn't it?
I remember it was like $2,000 a month he'd bring home.
Yeah. It was like $14 an hour and we couldn't get paid for overtime. We couldn't give, I mean, they make much better money now, but at the time, so we were living off that.
Yeah. So basically that's how, we ended up, I had partners. So I ended up my family ended up buying the one partner out. And so my family became my partner. And so, yes, I didn't take a paycheck. I was banking my paycheck. So I says, hey, I won't take a paycheck. If I do, I'll kill this. So I'm just going to bank it. And hopefully down the road someday I'll get a paycheck. And it actually ended up being a blessing because it forced us to save, right? We made it to where we were living off $2,000 a month. And not only living off of it. So this is what, this is a big thing here is I've been told by a couple of my mentors, it's not how much you make, it's how much you spend. If you make $15,000 a month and you spend 20, you're broke. But if you make $3,000 a month and you spend $1,500, you got money. So, it's pretty basic, but people don't live by that. So we started living by that. So we went and I was, again, still reading books and stuff, trying to figure out how to get out of this hole. And I came across Dave Ramsey's book and him talking about the envelope system, which I know you've mentioned. And the reason the envelope system is good is it tracks what you're spending, one, and it controls it. Mm-hmm. So we each had an envelope and we had a conversation. So let me go back a little bit. So we were down and out in my grandparents' basement, living off Gina's income, and I said to Gina, "What do we want to do here? Right? What's our goals? What are we thinking here?" And it wasn't even goals like travel the world. It was just, what are we going to do next week? What are we going to do next month? What are our goals to make sure our baby boy that's going to be born in a month is secure, and you remember. So it was basically just down to the nitty gritty of how do we make sure we are okay. And so when I used to go to you with, financial problems, I would say, you're doing this. You're spending too much money. You're getting your hair done. You're getting your nails done. And the thing about that book that changed my life bigger than the envelope system is it says, instead of going to your spouse and saying, you're doing this, ask questions. What are our goals? What do we want to do? We're a team. You stuck by my side, thankfully. I had friends whose wives left them from the mistakes they made financially. And you never wavered. You said it's just money. I love you, which is beautiful. And so we sat down and said, okay, we're a team. How are we going to get out of this? And what's that going to look like? And we came up, I approached you and said, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And you said, I'm good to not have my hair done. I'm good to stop getting my nails done, which you still don't get your nails done,
I very rarely get my hair done.
And very rarely get your hair done.
Rarely.
And that's another point. I think we were living, we were just doing whatever we wanted to do, and it was great. But then when we had to cut back and we gave it up for years, we have the money now, but we didn't go back to that because it's like, I'm good without it. So anyway, we went into the envelope system, started, I think I gave you like $300 a month, me $400 a month because I had gas to work or something, it was very minimal. Yeah. We didn't eat out, we didn't go to a movie for years. We didn't eat out for years. And so over this few years, we were able to save money. So we basically, what you doing?
I'm making a note.
Oh, okay. So basically, by being able to live off of her income and bank mine after I think it was about 2.5 years into it, a year and a half into it, I landed a big job in Vegas. And what you were going into with the vehicles and stuff like that we didn't know was they repossessed my truck. I bought it for $50,000. I'd paid it down to $3,000. And they repossessed it, and then they sold it at auction for 17, called me up a few months later and said, you owe $6,000. And I'm like, what? You took it?
Yeah.
And they're like, you owe $6,000 for this, $3,000 for the motorcycle. We had credit card debt that I could not pay. And that's when I didn't know this, but I says, well, I don't have it. And they says, well, what do you have? And I'm like, well, nothing, and they're like, well, you got to have something. And I started negotiating. You remember that, and I started negotiating with, credit cards and company loans and all these different people. And I actually got really good at it. And I helped a couple other people in our family get their debts down because I was able to negotiate so well with these people. And so, the $6,000 went down to like $1,500.
Yeah. It's not a, here's your bill.
Yeah.
These people that you're making out to be these monsters. They're
trying to get their money back.
They're trying to get their money
Right,
back.
right.
It's not their fault. You spend it all, but they're trying to get their money back. And it was like, well, let's settle. Let's figure out an amount.
Yeah.
And they worked with us.
Yeah. And they said, it was actually cool because they're like, look, you drove your truck over there. You didn't pull the wheels off. You didn't take the steps off. You didn't strip it down.
Oh my gosh. At the time, you guys remember, people were going into their houses and taking their appliances. Remember, they were taking all the nice appliances out before they short sold the house,
right, pulling copper out of the walls,
pulling
whatever
copper
it
out of
was.
the walls. It was a dark time.
Yeah, so they were literally. She's like, I see here. I don't know what they call it. There's a term for it, but she's like, you gave up your repossessions nicely, and I'm like, how about $1,500? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. We'll do that. And it was actually a good thing. It worked out fine, and I felt good about it. And that's the other thing too is a lot of people are like, I'm like, I lost everything in the recession, and they're like, well, Rick, that wasn't your fault. Yeah, it was. It was. I don't put blame on Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. I don't put blame on, Twilla Federal Credit Union. It's like I was the one. I could have lived better, and
we were making the money.
We were making the money. I got greedy.
Have all that stuff.
I got greedy, and it was 100% my fault, and I paid my dues, and we got out of that. And so, anyway, we got that all behind us. Started saving some money. I still didn't trust the banks, and it wasn't because I didn't trust them because of that, but I worried that there was something that was going to pop up that they're like, oh, you owe us for this. Because I remember walking out to the mailbox every day scared to death. And what's going to be in here? It's you owe us this, you owe us that, you were repoing this. And
to really just twist the knife, Castle was born and had to go to the NICU.
Right.
So even though we had insurance, I worked for the city, even though we had insurance, that was an extra $10,000 bill that we weren't expecting. And again, we had to put that. Luckily, at the time, I don't think it's this way anymore, but hospitals, the interest for hospital loans was very low.
Yeah.
But so that we paid him off over a couple years.
Yeah, it took years, and so that's the thing is it was our fault. We made mistakes, and then so I own up to it. And then the other thing too was I had other friends and family that went through similar things. And they were like, I'm never, going to start a business again. I'm never going to buy a house again, And I'm like, why? I don't understand this. You got up to the plate and you struck out. You don't quit baseball. You go back into the dugout and read a book, listen to a podcast, switch up your grip, and go back out there and swing again. And that...
Nice baseball metaphors, babe.
Yeah, me in baseball. I love it. Was that right? Is it pitches?
Yeah, you did good.
Okay, not touchdowns. So, but it's like, don't give up. That's a huge thing. So anyway, and I wanted to. There was hundreds of times where I wanted to, and I cried, and I didn't come out of my room, and it wasn't easy, but it will be worth it if you don't. I believe if you can, again, if you just do the same things. But I was like, okay, I need to learn from this. I need to adapt. So the big job came, and we got some money. I think we got so I was making $36,000 a year was my pay, $3,000 a month before taxes. And I took that money, paid off all the debt, and we had about $20,000 left. And again, I'm that guy that, when I see something, I have $20,000 now, and I'm like, well, I'm rich. I just went from poor to rich, and I'm seeing 4-wheelers, and I'm seeing guns, and I'm seeing, all these things I want to buy. And so I learned that I can't get on the classifieds. I can't, go to the pawn shop. I'm the fat kid that can't walk in the candy store.
I just made this point with one of my sisters in the Revitalized Sisterhood. I'm sorry to say it, you just can't go into those stores.
Avoid them.
You just can't.
I'm no better with money than anybody else. I just avoid my vices, So I remember driving home and seeing a Jeep, and I think I called you, and I'm like, hey, there's a Jeep for sale. It's like $12,000. And you're like, Rick, what are you doing? No. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And I had to start driving a different way home because I would see that Jeep and I'm like, oh my gosh, And I changed my route home because I couldn't see the Jeep. And that's how I kind of learned to fight my temptations. So long story short, we got about $20,000. We saved up a little bit more. I started looking for investments and I did not know what to do. Stocks, bonds, real estate. And one of the things that I always thought growing up, and I think I've been told, is you have to have money to make money. And that is completely wrong. And so this is where this gets good for people. I have a buddy right now that just sold a lot. He's got $60,000 and he's like, it's only $60,000. And I'm like, okay, well, here's my story. So I think we got up to like 23,000 by the time I started finding some investments, and I didn't know what to buy. I had no idea. And I remember I found a lot, building lot for sale, and it was $28,000. And I called my dad and I said, Dad, what do you think about this lot? And he says, I don't know. Real estate's always been good, but right now it's not. I don't know. And I says, well, I'm looking at this Jeep.
Yeah.
And he says, go buy the lot.
Yeah.
I know it's better than a Jeep. And so I went and bought the lot, and we had $23,000. I had to pull $5,000 off of a credit card.
I thought, we borrowed it from Grandpa.
That was to survive.
That's the next one. Oh, that was
to survive. Yeah, I didn't bring that up. So yeah, we borrowed when we moved into the basement. I ended up having to borrow $5,000 from my Grandpa Roy, and to feed my family. They charged us a couple $100 rent. I usually traded it out of mowing the lawn or whatever, but we had no money for food, and so I'd already pawned TVs and all that kind of stuff. So I ended up paying him back. I think a year and a half later, and I gave him $6,500, and it was great. He was a businessman, and I'm a businessman, and I gave him interest, and it was a win-win. And he,
We'll take a little break there, babe.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
But that's for you ladies. You don't hear this in the same way that I do because I lived it. But what's happening when you're scrolling on your phone and ads are popping up for these cute boutiques that they want you to buy this hat, or they want to show you, look, you have to wear this sweater. It's autumn. It's fall now. You have to get this jacket. You have to get these boots. You have to get these. And you're seeing all of these influencers like marketing these products, and you're like, oh, it's just a shirt. Oh, it's just a hat. Oh, that is exactly what those ads are used for. To get you. They know what you're looking for. They know what you're Googling. They know what your feed is. I am an influencer on my other account, and that is exactly what they're doing. They are targeting you. So if that's one of your problems, like going to Target and just wandering around, if that's one of your problems where you're spending too much, stop going to Target. Get your Instacart or get your grocery pickup. Do not go in the store. If your problem is you're shopping online because you're seeing it as you're scrolling through your Instagram, get off your phone.
Delete the app.
Yeah. Delete Instagram. Yeah, absolutely. Whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
You obviously have to control that impulse. And until you make a habit to override that impulse control, you cannot have it. You just can't. Just be honest with yourself and be intentional.
And again, learn how to, learn how to fight your weaknesses, because I have weaknesses, but the way I learned how to fight them were, again, avoid it.
Avoidance.
And the other thing that saved me was, so we had the money, the $28,000. I went and bought this lot, and then the money's gone. I paid cash.
Yeah, it was scary.
And then it's gone. I can't go spend it on a Jeep. And so that's what I started learning as I got further down the road was when I started getting cash, I started looking at toys and things, and I thought, okay, hurry and put it into an investment. So that's, again, how I fought my weakness, because I'm not strong on that. So we bought the lot, $28,000. Everybody told me I was crazy. What are you doing buying lots? It was in the depths of that depression, recession. And it took about 2 years, and we sold that lot for, I think, $62,000 or something like that. There was 3 for sale when I bought the one. I wish I'd have bought more, but again, hindsight, the one was scary enough.
We didn't have any money.
Right. And so no credit. I had to pay cash. I couldn't get any kind of loan. My credit was absolutely shattered. And so bought that lot, and then I saw another lot down the road that was a commercial lot, and I thought I could buy this, maybe build a building on it for my business. And we bought it for $40,000. I cleaned up the lot. It was full of bushes. Roy actually did. Went out there and cleaned it up, and I started renting it out to a landscaping company for $500 a month to park his equipment and let it sit there. And then I went down to your Uncle Grant's, and he owns like 80 rental properties. And I had a little chat with him, again, a mentor of mine.
Yes, at least 80, and his bread and butter is long-term rentals.
Right. And I says, hey, look, I didn't even know he did it really. You just said, let's go to Palm Springs and see my uncle. And I started chatting with him, and he had a stack of checks an inch high.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are those? And he's like, I own 89 properties, and it's the first of the month. And I'm like, what? And I says, I own a lot, and he says, get rid of it. And I'm like, what? And he says, get rid of it, unless you're going to build a building on it. Lots just appreciate in value, but if you get a property, a condo or a duplex, you make residual income and the appreciation of the asset. And I'm like, oh, okay. Went home. We sold our lot. I sold it for, I think, $60,000 again, something like that. Made like $20,000 on that. And then this is where things started getting really interesting. So we started with $28,000. And I need to go back a little bit. So the way that we got from 20 to like 25 was I started doing side hustles. I don't know if you remember this. Yeah, a boat.
The boat.
Yeah, I bought, one of my employees wanted a Sea-Doo boat. It was like $3,000. And I'm like, he was like, I'll pay it off in 2 paychecks or something, but didn't have the cash. Mm-hmm. And I says, yeah, I'll loan you $3,000. I'm going to put the boat in my garage, and I'll charge you, $1,000 or $500. I think I charged him $500. And I made $500 in a month. And then I flipped a forklift. I bought a forklift for $2,000, got it running, sold it for $3,500. And I'm not a mechanic. I paid somebody to fix it. I helped somebody make their payroll. A company here in town gave me their truck as collateral. I loaned them cash, and they made their payroll. And then when they came back to get their truck, they paid me their payroll plus a couple grand. And so I started out with like 5, 6, 10 grand just doing little tiny deals, and it doesn't sound like a lot now, but back then when we were broke, it was huge.
We were clinging to it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, babe, I came home, I made $500 extra this month, and it adds up, and so don't belittle that, hustle. Another thing is tell people, I was walking around telling everybody, hey, I've got some cash. I'm doing loans. What do you got? What do you got? And so it started out with things like that. And then we ended up selling that commercial lot. And I remember I had a buddy, we were in Vegas gambling, and I went to the ATM machine to get some cash out, and he hurried and snagged my receipt. And you have to understand, 3 years before I had a nice house, big Dodge, motorcycles, just living it up. And so everybody thought we had lots of money. And now I live in my grandparents' basement, haven't gone to dinner or movie with a couple in 2 years, driving an old beat up truck. And everybody assumed we were, poor. And so we had sold those couple lots, and I think we had like 55 or 65,000 I think we had 65,000 in the bank. I can't remember.
Yeah, because that first hard money loan was 60.
And so my buddy grabs my receipt, and he's like, what? You have $65,000, Rick? And I'm like, yeah. And again, I didn't talk about money. I think people should talk about money more and discuss it and be more open about it personally. And I was timid, a lot of people didn't even know that we got stuff repossessed. I tried to put on a front, I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. People are like, what'd you do with your Dodge? I'm like, I sold it. Oh, what'd you get out of it?
Negative.
Not much,
Negative $6,000.
Yeah. But, So he grabbed my receipt and he's like, wow. And I didn't think anything of it, whatever. And a few weeks later, he calls me up and he says, hey, Rick, I've got this guy who wants to do a hard money, or not a hard money loan, a loan. He inherited a condo and he wants to start a restaurant in Oregon, and he wants to
use the condo,
borrow $36,000 and use the condo as collateral. And he says it has to be done in 2 days. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he says, you and one other of my friends are the only two people I know that have this kind of cash. So I called you. He called the other one. The other one said no. Called me and I says, okay, let me look at this. I called my dad, called my grandpa, my two mentors at the time. And they're like, you're crazy. Don't do it. It sounds fishy. And I'm like, well, I'll have a lawyer look at it. So I had a lawyer look at it. I charged the guy $500. He paid for the lawyer to look at it, made sure there was no liens on it, made an agreement. And I did it. $36,000 for a condo that was worth $85,000. And we were so excited. Remember, we were just like, wow, we got this cool little condo. It's at a resort here. Things are looking up. And I remember a couple weeks later, I was at the motocross races in California, and my buddy called and says, hey, maybe a month later, I don't know, a couple months. And he says, hey, that guy who started that restaurant, he needs more cash. Do you want to loan him more? And I says, how much? And he says, if you'll give him another $30,000 cash, he'll let you have the condo.
Yeah. And
I'm like, done. So we gave him $30,000 more, and we were all in on this condo and bought it. And so we own that condo. You started cleaning it. It's a vacation rental, right? It was, 2000. Good luck.
Yeah, I know when it was.
14?
No, I know exactly when it was,
okay.
Because it was before Hayes was born. Because
okay.
That's when I was starting to get
13,
really
right.
ornery as a dispatcher because I was pregnant. And
right, and I wanted, yeah.
You wanted me to quit my job, so.
Oh, man, yeah. That's a whole other story. She started yelling at little old ladies that were cutting us off that were trying to park in, Smith's parking lot, and I'm like, whoa.
I had developed some serious hormone issues.
Say, did you see that? And I'm like, yeah, this little lady, she didn't see you, and she saw me. And I'm like, wow, your faith in humanity is going downhill. We need to get you away from the 911 dispatching.
Yes.
And I can't imagine, anyway, that's a whole nother.
Jen, if you're listening to this, giggling.
Bless their heart.
Exactly
Bless their heart.
She
those
had to
people.
pull me into her office. My supervisor had to pull me into her office and let me re-listen to a call that I was pointing out to this guy what an idiot he was.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's not okay.
Yeah, you were done.
I was done.
And like I said, our baby had been being tended by our neighbors out in the fields, and beautiful family.
Yeah, Castle and Amy. Yeah, Amy's.
But it was, we were getting ready to have our second one, and I says, look, if we can get more of these condos, I don't know what else to do. I stumbled onto these condos, just random, and you can clean it and keep your job, but start cleaning it, and we'll see where it goes. And so we own that condo, and then the condo below us started smelling like smoke.
Oh, yeah, it was horrible.
Cigarette smoke, and it's illegal to smoke at this property, and so we complained a couple times, and finally I looked up who owned it, and it was a landlord of mine on my businesses that I was friends with. And I'm like, Joe, you own that condo? And he's like, yeah. And I says, can you get that lady out of there? And he says, I can't. She's been in there forever. She won't leave.
Because of what had happened with the recession, there were all these new rules and laws with renters and everything, and they just basically worked the system. They figured out how to work the system, and
he wanted her out,
but
couldn't get her out. And he says, if you bought it, it would get her out. And I says, I have no money. I have no money and I have no credit. And this is where one of the biggest doors opened for us. And I didn't really know about it. And he says, well, why don't I own or finance you? And I says, well, okay, well, what's that look like? And we sat down and he explained it to me. He's a multimillionaire, very successful guy. Again, another guy who became a mentor of mine that I just started asking questions. And I'm telling you, all these guys that have money want to help. 99 out of 100.
It's the whole philosophy of empowered women empower women. It's the whole philosophy behind it. If you are already secure in what you are, you have no problem helping everyone else.
Right. And, I understand when you're grinding and you're trying to get money and you're on the way up, you don't want to give out your secrets and your competitive advantage. It's scary. It's like, man, I'm going to keep that for myself because I'm making money and I want to. And
you don't want to be taken advantage of.
But I think when you get to the top, whatever your top is, they can always obviously look different, but you're kind of sitting there going, well, now I have the money and, I'll get into that, what money, having the money can feel like. But it's like, I have the money. What next? What now? And you most of them are like, I want to help people. So he was awesome. We sit down. He showed me how to owner finance. And I put some money down, and we ended up buying our second condo. And that was like, because I didn't think I could buy anything, because one, I didn't have much money. And I had no credit. Again, it takes years to build your credit back. So I just thought, we'll get the one condo, and that's going to be our little investment. Got the second one, started renting it out. We remodeled it ourselves and started renting that out. And that was where the light bulb clicked on.
And Rick gave me a budget. I had to, like, I feel like, I don't feel like people made fun of us, but maybe kind of were like, really? That's all? You gave me a budget of $5,000 for each of these condos. Yeah. And it was, that's the one we gutted, you guys. That one we had to strip it down to the studs because she's smoking in it. It's so gross. But to decorate, furnish, new dishes, new pots and pans, bedding, you know what I'm saying? $5,000. I had to get creative.
Yeah, and you did well. You did beautiful, because looking back, like you said, it was only 600 square feet, but we painted walls, we put shiplap up, we bought all new fixtures, we painted the cabinets. You made that stretch wonderfully. And that's another lesson, from your Uncle Grant. 9 out of 10 people don't care, that are renters, don't care too much what it looks like. They're there for the weekend or a couple days.
Clean. They want it clean.
They want it clean, and they want it presentable. And then, also they're going to beat it up. So he's like, you go spend 20 grand on this and buy all new stainless steel and whatever. And they're just going to beat it up. And then, my grandpa actually said, after I spent $5,000, my grandpa walked in and he says, oh, I could never rent this. Look at the footprints on your new carpet. And I'm like, yeah, but it wasn't, it was $600.
People would drive their bikes into it, and the oil from their
mountain
bikes.
Bikers. It's right by a mountain biking trail. Yeah. And so, because we hadn't put so much money into these nice things, it was okay for us. We were like, oh, well, if we rented out for a couple of years and have to replace the carpet, it's not much. So we went through that, and then I started going around and looking at condos for sale, and would find a seller, and I would call them up. I had a realtor, but it was funny because I had a realtor, and she's wonderful. And I says, hey, I want to buy this. And she's like, okay, well, let's go get a loan. And I'm like, I can't get a loan. And she's like, okay, do you have cash? I'm like, I don't have cash. And she's like, Rick, what are you doing? And I'm like, okay, listen, Jill, this is what I'm thinking. And she was like, I don't know about that, And I says, well, let's try it.
What?
Owner financing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So basically I would go around and I'd find these condos for sale. And there was, at the time it was a recession. So there was 5 or 6 for sale. And I would find out who the owners were. And I wrote a letter. And it's funny, I wish I could find the letter, but it says, I lost everything and I'm building it back, and I've got a wife and 2 kids and I'm hustling. And, I was really personal about it. And I says, and if you need letter of recommendation, I have Joe who will give you that. And a few of them were like, no, I need the cash. And a couple of them were like, yeah, I'm interested in that. Owner financing, I can make 5-6%. I gave them 20% down. And changed our lives. We ended up buying 7 condos over the next few years, paid them all off, which I actually regret that. I wish I would have kept, I was so afraid of debt that's how I did that. And I slept good at night because we had no debt, but I could have gone bigger. Looking hindsight, I wish I would have, just kept going, but we didn't know what the market was going to do. You can't get in trouble with debt, and it was safe. But we ended up paying those off, and and that was a huge turning point, right? So we did that for a while, and then my goals were to, after that, we sat down. What are you looking at?
You're good. I'm making sure it's not Castle.
Oh yeah, our boys tending our kids. I think we should probably do this in 2 segments. Can we pause this real quick?
No, Chad can edit it, but what do you mean? Talk through it?
Yeah.
Chad, stop right here.
Kenny?
Yeah, he just did.
Okay. So, yeah, when you did that, I lost my train of thought.
Oh,
Here,
sorry.
pause it.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we sold the 7 condos. Okay. How do you restart it?
You just start talking again.
Really? And it'll just go, it'll
Chad
fit?
knows. He knows what real conversation is.
Okay.
Chad knows. Good job, Chad.
So basically, after we bought the 7 condos, that was your business, right? That's what you started managing. That was very...
Yeah, I was like the Rain Man of... Imagine 7 different condos. I had to remember what towels, what bedding, what everything, what... I was the Rain Man.
Right, and they were all in the same location. That was a huge deal that your uncle told me, don't buy one in Nevada, don't buy one in Oklahoma, try to keep them centrally located. So if you have a problem in your town is even better, so you don't have to call somebody to change the garbage disposal, things like that. And so, basically we ended up doing that, got a residual income coming in that was far more. I still was only making $36,000 a year. And so I want people to understand that. Buying these condos, we were making $36,000 a year from my company, and then you were making the money cleaning fees, and then you managed them, so we didn't have to pay a property manager. But we was not making $200,000-$300,000 a year.
No.
And so
I think that was around $1,500, $2,000 a month.
Yeah, you'd know better than me on that.
But that's not even taking into account what the cleaning was, what the, all the supplies.
But say it was, is that each unit? Is that total? That was probably total.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not good at this.
Yeah.
This is why I don't do the finances.
Yeah. But anyway, it wasn't a lot of money, and we took every dollar that we made from we snowballed it. So the first unit we had paid off. The second unit started renting. We took that money and started paying off the first unit, and second unit paid off the second unit until we had paid all of the debt off. We didn't have any car payments, still don't, and that was, so basically what I want people to take from this story is, one, we lost everything. We had it going good for us. We were keeping up with the Joneses though, 100%. The big Dodge, it was all fake. It was all smoke and mirrors. And then we corrected, at 31 years of age, 32 years of age, with a baby on the way. Blessed to have a basement to move into. That obviously helped a ton. After we were there for a few years, and then we moved into your parents' home.
Yeah, and then a house.
And we're still in your parents' home, and that's the other thing too is, we have more money than we've ever had right now. And we're more financially secure than we've ever been. And we live in your parents' house that is 1,100 square feet. There's 5 of us. I drive a Ford F-150 that's got 120,000 miles. It's a 2010. You drive a Saturn Vue.
2008, 2010.
Yeah, we have 3 cars that total up to being worth $20,000.
If even.
Yeah.
But we love them.
Well, it just doesn't matter to me, And so that's the thing is, it's not how much you make, it's how much you spend. So I think with people that are trying to figure out how to get out of debt, starting a business, the businesses have been good for us. As we started climbing out of the recession, the businesses were... That's weird.
Wind.
Yeah. So, as we started climbing out of the recession, the building, most of my businesses are in construction. And so they started getting better and better and better. Again, I kept my salary low until we got out of debt, which took on the businesses, that $630,000 on the business, I think took 9 years, something like that. 9 years to get out of debt. So for the business side. So, what I want people to take from this is, one, you can lose everything and you can come back from that. And it doesn't take, so in 2011, we moved into the basement. Mm-hmm. In 2014,
we got our first condo.
Yeah. 2014, we got our first condo. It's way windy here, and where we're at in St. George, it's blowing like 40 miles an hour outside, and things are moving around.
Coming off the roof. The roof's coming off.
So 2011, moved into the basement. No money. Had to borrow $5,000 from my grandpa to survive. And in 2016, I bought my family out of the companies and turned over my business to a couple of my employees, and we went and traveled the world for 3 years. So I just want people to understand that is a 6-year gap. And in between there, I got a side hustle. So I started working at Titan Stairs, as a second job. And so, I just feel like people think that you have to have money to make money, or it's just too far off. It's going to take 20, 30, 40 years. And if you batten down the hatches, we just had a baby. I hear people, well, you didn't have kids. We had a kid. He was in the NICU for $10,000. Yeah. We had a second kid during this time. So you can give me all the excuses you want, but it doesn't matter. It's what you can do. And so that's where I think that whatever your goals are, sit down with your partner. If they're financial, whatever your financial goals are, we all have financial goals. You have to. So whatever your financial goals and dreams are, make a 1-year plan. If you're in a bad situation, make a 30-day plan, 1-year plan, 3-year plan, 5-year plan, and 10-year plan, and shoot for the stars, on the 10-year plan.
Yeah.
And then really grind out, get a second job, and try to, I tell people, I'm helping people right now on a couple different scenarios. And it's like, well, do you want this goal it's like a diet. You can lose 50 pounds probably in a few weeks if you wanted to. They do on a loan.
Look at Brent. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can really, really go crazy, or you can do it over 10 years. So how do you want that to be? And that's where you sit down with your spouse and you say, look, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then you make laser goals,
Yeah. Laser focus.
Laser focused goals.
Ladies, ours is coming. It's a 90-day focused firing method.
Yeah.
It's focused. You have to get so detailed and refined on what you're doing and then track it. You have to track it.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing is laser focused and then just check it off and baby steps. And it's going to take years, just like it's a lifestyle and we still live it. That's the thing is, we just went and traveled around the U.S. for a few months with our kids, a couple months ago. And I don't book the 5-star hotels. I could have rented a car. We drove our Saturn View. It's like we still live on a budget. And we could change that, but we don't need to. And one of my favorite things is, I think you probably showed me this, is a person that has a shirt or a watch. And it says that shirt or that watch isn't $100 or $50. It's time. You traded time for that shirt and that watch. And if I'm the one working, so you were really good about this. When I was working, I said to you, babe, if you want your hair done, go get it done. If you need that, I'm fine with that. But just realize that your $80 hair takes, at the time, 4 hours of my life. And I think when you put it in that perspective, it's like, wow, I don't want to take 4 hours.
That's what I've been doing. I've mentioned that to a couple of girls on our one-on-one calls, that you have to put this in perspective. It's not just a shirt. It's your husband being away from your family. It's you being away from your family or your husband or whatever. You have to put it in perspective. Yeah.
And so I think basically if you do all those things and you really button down the hatches, I think that you can, anybody, it's possible for anybody. If we did it, with the weight we were under and the debt we were under, I think it's possible for anybody to do this in America. America is, I believe, obviously the greatest country on earth. There's so many possibilities, freedoms, and, you just have to have the effort. Most people want to get rich quick. My dad always says, most people don't, what's the saying? Most people don't see work because it's dressed in overalls or something like that, where
Oh, like the farmer. He's the rich farmer, but he wears
No, it's basically saying work is success is disguised in overalls because you have to work to get it.
Oh, I see.
Something like that. But that's most people just want to get rich quick. In this day and age, there's so much.
The whole new generation. That's all they think. They think they're going to, oh my gosh,
we're
our
gonna be
kids.
YouTubers. We're going to be.
Forget it. You're not going to be.
Yeah. And I tell Castle that he wants to play in the NFL. And I'm like, probably not going to happen. So let's fall back on something here, that's tangible. So, but it is a great country. There's a lot of possibility out there. And so I think that anybody can do it. Getting back on, I think we can wrap up here in the next 15 minutes. I just have a few other points, and I think we can do it in one episode. So a couple other key points is you only live once. That's my mantra. One life, so live. That's my, whatever. So I think if you're unhappy, if you're in a position where you're not thriving, change it.
That's why you're here. That's why these are the communities. That's why the Iron Council, the Order of Man. That's why the Revitalized Womanhood and the Sisterhood. It's if you are not happy, why are you not happy? First of all, why? You have to identify it.
Yeah.
You have to define it. And how are you going to fix it? You have to do something different.
Right.
You're not going to do the same thing and get the different result.
Right. And then, and then go to work. Like I said, your 3-year, 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plan. Go talk to your boss. I've been the CEO for the last 15 years of my companies. I love the employees that come up to me and instead of saying, pay me more, they say, how can I earn more? What can I do to make myself more valuable so that you will give me more money? And I'm like, here, do this, learn this machine, learn how to do cabinets.
Yeah.
I want them to be more valuable because it makes me more money. And in turn makes them more money.
Well, and I said to one of them that she was like, oh, I'm going to go and sit down with them and see what position they can offer me and how much it pays. And I'm like, no, how about this? Why don't you do some research, figure out what that position should pay. You figure out how much you're worth and you go to them with a proposal. And instead of coming up to someone saying, what do you want me to do? I'm a boss. I don't want to come up with things for people to do all day long.
Right.
Come to me and say, here's what I'm willing to do for you. Here's what
I did.
Yeah, here's what I'm willing to do for you, or here's what I did. For this much money, this is how much I'm worth. Is that worth it to you? And they will say, yes. What's the worst they can say is no. Well, then negotiate. Come find some common ground. But most of the time, they're going to say yes because you've done the research and it's legitimate. You're not like swinging for the fences.
Yeah. Yeah. I 100% agree. And that's exactly right. So talk to your boss, get a side hustle. That's another thing. You saw me, I just made some gifts. I won't say because I haven't given them out yet, but just made some, well, I guess
by the time this comes out, you will have given them out.
So I just made some butcher blocks, cutting boards, right? Charcuterie boards. How do you say it?
Yeah. You said it. Nailed it.
Yeah. And I made a few of them engraved with their logo of their businesses and whatever, and I'm giving them to some people that I'm flying out to see in the morning. And a couple other people saw them, and they're like, oh my heck, we love these. We want to buy them. And I'm like, holy crap. I could make a couple of 100 of these in my wood shop and kill it. And so, whatever you're good at, whatever there's a way to make money. So be creative, get a side hustle if you can. And then don't spend the money, save the money, invest it. That's the key. If you blow it, then you're just spinning your wheels. You're on the hamster wheel. If you're going to start a business, read books. Again, I always tell people this. If you're, cutting hair, you shouldn't start a salon. If you're a framer, you shouldn't start a framing business. Read books on running a business, cash flow, startup capital, your competitive edge. I always like to have a competitive edge. What is that? It's maybe my skill set or my knowledge, whatever it is. Really look into that. Most businesses fail, so really be smart about it. Start your startup costs, keep them low, be as lean as you can, and you can change your life. With your own business, you can determine how much you make and what hours you work. So. That's a good thing. The other thing is going through my notes here, is be careful. The other thing I wanted to mention is most people think money solves all the problems. Money buys my happiness, and it does not. Not that I have a ton or that we have a ton, but we're secure. I haven't worked since 37. Unless I wanted to. Pretty much been retired the last 5 years, and so we're financially secure. and, we're not necessarily happier. It solves problems and it creates time, but it does not buy happiness.
No, and it can create problems as well. I think it put it in perspective for us when our friends that were, gosh, what were they even?
They're making $300-400 million a year.
Yeah. And she says, I've never been happier now since not having that.
Yeah, they lost it all.
Because before it was just like keeping up with all the insurances, keeping up with all the taxes, keeping up with all there's so much drama involved in it that she's constantly feeling like she had to throw lavish events and parties for family and weddings. And she says, I've just never been happier.
Yeah. They want a little house on some land and just to be, just farm and raise their kids. And they've had the helicopters and the
houseboats,
yachts, and houses in Santa Monica that were worth $20 million. I mean, they were they could buy me with probably what fell out of their purse on a Saturday morning, So, and that, again, like I said, that financial success is different than life success. You have to be healthy. You have to have relationships. I know you have all these bonds, beliefs, business,
body.
Mm-hmm. And just because you have more zeros in your bank account
does not mean you know how to have friends.
Doesn't mean you're a better person.
Your
It doesn't
family
mean
maybe hates your guts.
Exactly. And so, realize that money is a tool, and use that tool to, like I said, increase your time with the people that you want to be around, increase memories, and hopefully less stress if you use it correctly. But to think that you're better than somebody because you have more money. I know lots of rich people that are, depressed all the time and, or jerks. And so that's not that's not an end all save all. So be careful chasing money. But again, the security of money is a huge deal. So, go for that. And, again, basically just summing up, to where, financial freedom, I think, is a huge, huge thing. I think everybody can achieve it. We're not uber rich, but we spend within our means. I did not want to work anymore. I did not want to be at work. I don't enjoy it. It's fine, but I'd rather be traveling around the world with my family. And so that's where we created our goals, and we have achieved them. And we're still doing it, and we're going to keep doing it. And so, just make sure that what you're going after is what you want, not what somebody else wants or somebody else's version. And, I think anybody can achieve it. Again, if anybody wants help with this, they can reach out to Gina, and I'm happy to coach,
I've already been pimping you out, babe.
I know you have.
Don't you worry.
And I'm happy to help.
You've got some phone calls coming your way.
And I'm happy to help. I know your women in the sisterhood have been asking you about this, finances. And so anybody that needs that kind of coaching, as long as I can keep up with it, I'm happy to help. And go through your, to start, everybody go through your expenses, track them for 1 or 2 months, really track them, because stuff gets away from us, the Starbucks or the, getting your nails done, you don't think about.
You can't hide it from your spouse either. You both have to look at it, because he might not. I don't know that you're going to Jimmy John's every day.
Right.
Or he doesn't know that I'm getting a Starbucks, which I do not.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to know what's going through there. Or even like Canva girls, like we have subscriptions that we think are just no big deal, but $12 a month, that's something. That adds up. Canva adds up. Adobe Lightroom adds up. Things like this add up. We think they're just stupid little subscriptions, but that's what happens is you forget about them, and that starts adding up.
Well, and one of your favorite quotes that I told you is one of my favorite quotes is live today like nobody else will, so tomorrow you can live like nobody else can. And that says everything, so cut out the Starbucks. I think if people thought that they were having to do this forever, I wouldn't do it. I would not do it.
Yeah.
But if I thought I have to grind this out for 3-5 years and I can change the projection of my life, to where I can take more time off work, I can travel more, I can, we still spend a lot of money. It's not like we don't do anything. I just spend it on what we want.
Yeah.
So,
don't close that yet.
No, I'm not.
Oh.
With the books?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I wanted to end up with a book list that changed my life. I'm going to read through them really quick here. I know everybody's busy.
We kind of have a theory, and this is kind of a book list that Rick's created, because as far as you've heard me say, as far as college goes, we don't want our kids to just jump into debt. And I'll get into that later on about why we have these feelings about college and our kids. And yeah, if he wants to be a doctor, if anybody wants to be a doctor, lawyer, you have to go. Yeah, you have to be specialized in it, and that's fine. But when you're first out of high school, you have no idea who you are. You don't. Your brain isn't fully formed till you're 25 years old. So we're expected to make these life decisions, like who you're going to marry and what career you're going to have and whatever, right out of high school. That's so silly. Go have a gap year, travel, learn about yourself, and Rick says, as long as you're reading these books that I'm having you do, because you're all seeing how it's affecting me, starting to read these books is totally making my brain click into different gears. So absolutely, that's why we would have our kids read these same books.
Well, and, again, I know how it is to read a book. If I'm reading a book about, mountain climbing, I'm not going to be interested in it because I don't mountain climb.
Yeah.
So I understand that, but if you want to learn about finances, which I think everybody should, I just don't understand it. Don't let your brain turn off on this because it will change your life. Financial security, to go from scared of checking the mailbox and not sleeping at night and fighting with my wife to sleeping like a baby. I haven't set an alarm besides hunting in years. That's unreal. I wake up whenever I want, and I go in and make pancakes and whatever I want to do. I do whatever I want to do. And I want, if that's everybody's, whoever wants that dream, I would love for us to help them get that, because it is 100% achievable. Yeah. It's on you. We can only give you the tools and the resources and the knowledge, but you have to implement them, and you have to go to work, just like a diet. I can't keep the cheeseburger out of your mouth. And so, 100%. And then, like you said, with Castle, or my boys, I told them, hey, go travel the world and I'll pay for it as long as you read these 50 books, and I'm going to quiz you on them and for 2 years, and they're going to stay in hostels, and it's not going to be 5-star. I want them to really get out there.
No, they have to learn about themselves. They have to know how to do laundry. They have to know how to cook. Rick made it till the ripe old age of
39, 40, 41. 41 before I did my first load of laundry.
What? Wasn't it just recently?
A year ago.
Yeah.
I'm 42 now. Yeah, so 41. But yeah, that's sad. That's funny. So basically, that's what I would like for our kids. And I think that after a couple of years, after reading these books, I think they'll have a better understanding of what they want to do. Yeah. So anyway, here are the books that have changed my life. I'll read through them here real quick. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki changed my life. So 100% read that one. Money, Master the Game by Tony Robbins. Again, a huge one. The Barefoot Investor by Scott Pape. Huge book. Let's see. I've got my list here. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is massive. The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Again, the envelope system and his advice. The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. And The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. So I know there's a big list there. You can actually get a thing called Blinkist. It's a subscription, and it'll consolidate these books down into like 10 minutes if you're busy. It's been wonderful for me because I read hundreds of books, and it makes it very, very quick, and it's a cheap subscription. So
Blinkist.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Blinkist. And so you can get on there and you can read these books in 10 minutes. They've just kind of, cliff noted them. So there's no excuse. And I think if you read these books and you want to change and you take action, your life will be dramatically different in 1 to 2 to 3 years. And so I encourage everybody to do that. Again, if you need any coaching, I told Gina, anybody in the sisterhood, the first 50 or something that sign up, I'm happy to do a one-on-one coaching for a month or two, and try to help them in any way I can to, better their financial situation. So I want to offer that up, and look forward to talking to some of you. And if your husbands want to be on that call, love to meet them or talk to them as well.
Yeah, we're getting really excited. We're having our very first, not our first, we had a meet and greet in Scottsdale. That was fun.
Yeah.
But it was before the sisterhood was even a thing. It wasn't open yet. It was just kind of talking about it. But this is going to be our very first sisterhood event we're having in New Harmony, Utah at Rick's parents' 50-acre ranch. And
we're throwing it.
Yeah, we're throwing it. It's free. Listen, ladies, I want you to come out, and the ladies are bringing their husbands. We're going to figure out a place for them to be, because it is going to be a sisterhood event. It's going to be all about us. But
I would like the men to stay at our ranch that's, an hour away, so the men can stay over there and we can go shoot guns and ride side by sides, and the women can be over there. And I know you got a lot of stuff set up already. Again, the reason we started this, we're financially secure. We're good. The reason we started this is to change lives and to help people, sincerely. And so, we talked to Ryan, who's our partner, and we said, hey, we're going to throw this event. We rented my parents' ranch. I know you have a woman coming out.
Yeah, I have a couple women that are going to come out and
cooking
do some
classes
cool things for us.
with
our good friend she's Tibetan, so she's authentic Chinese cuisine we're going to be making. Amazing.
Oh my heck, it is so good.
So
we crave
good.
it. She's actually starting a food truck here in town.
Yes, I can't wait. I'm going to be standing outside of it and working for my food. Every day.
Yeah.
I'm going to need a
My
bowl
little
of noodles.
boy lives for it. It's his favorite food.
She used to chase him around, follow him around with the bowl and the chopsticks, feeding him.
Yeah. So that's going to be December 10th?
Yes, the weekend of December 10th, we're all getting together. Hopefully you can be in St. George by 3 o'clock Friday.
Yeah. And
because that's, I should say New Harmony, not St. George. New Harmony, 3 o'clock Friday. And it starts, and then we'll go. And we're actually going to get together on Saturday and have a big barbecue with the men and women, all the IC that want to come that are in the area, because of
Iron
course,
Council.
Yeah, this is the hub here. It feels like, it
That's
seems
where it
like, well, it is,
Yeah.
but it feels like it is the hub here. And
Right.
so we've got some men coming in from around the country that want to see their brothers. And
right. And it's sisterhood members only, because it's basically us saying, thank you for supporting us.
Thank you
for
trusting me.
Yeah, I know it's going to be a long journey, and we have some really good ideas coming up. I'm actually flying out to meet Ryan tomorrow, and we're going to meet for 3 days on this and go over some really good ideas to expand this, and I know people are going to love it. But this is basically saying, hey, you first, whatever, women who are in the sisterhood that supported us right out of the gate and want to come to Utah, this one's on us. And it's going to sleep, 12 to 15 people is what the ranch can sleep, something like that. We're going to kind of dial it in on what's a comfortable amount, and that's it. And
we're
it's
getting
free.
Cozy, ladies.
Yeah, it's basically, you get here and we'll cover everything else for the couple nights, and I think that's going to be huge. And this is, again, we have our ranch. My parents have a ranch that's an hour away. This is going to be, we're going to try to do these more often and bigger and better. This is just the start. And so, again, thanks for letting me be on here.
Yeah, thanks, babe. Thanks for talking all the money things.
Yeah, I think it's a huge deal. I think it's that's what
it
changes
is.
lives.
Mine's so vague when I talk about it, because it's like, la, 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 numbers, shut down. But I know what we went through. I lived it. So if I can help these women understand it in the way that I understand it now.
Yeah.
It's maybe not the same as you, but...
Well, and if their husbands are going through it, a lot of the husbands are the breadwinners, and I understand that. And if you have a husband that you're looking at... I bounced my knee, and she keeps stopping me.
Well, it's like wiggling.
Sorry. But I understand that. And so, again, if you're a sisterhood member and your husband is going through a hard time, let's conference call. I own 6 businesses right now. I've started 15, sold a lot of them. I know a lot about those types of things, and I'm happy to help people out there. That's what we want to do, is give back, and happy to do it. So
wrap it up. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. That was it.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Feels good.
We can touch base on another one in a month or so, go over some more points. But I think that's kind of what I wanted to say on this one.
To the core, biz. To the biz core, financial side of things from Rick Trimmer.
Read the books. Read the books.
Oh my gosh, the book list is amazing.
I promise. Read the books. If you want to change your lives, you and your spouse or significant other, read the books. These people have been there, done that. They are, I told you, books to me are cheat codes in the game of life. And so they're right there. You can get them for a small fee, and it's a game changer.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Love it. Thanks, babe. Love you.
Love you.
Have fun hunting. You're going to be gone when this airs, and I'll probably be crazy by then.
Well, the first few days I'm going to be meeting with Ryan, so I am working.
Yeah, I'm sure. You guys will meet for like an hour.
We're going to meet in a tree stand.
Yeah, in a tree stand. Oh, wait. Hold on. Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for tuning in for another To the Core episode of Revitalized Womanhood. See you later.